All right, we're on. We're just building up an audience since we're here live. Welcome to Ask Caswell. We're going to talk tonight about what's going on in Westerly, and then we're going to bring on a special musical guest. And I'm going to share it to a few pages while we're doing this now. If you'll just excuse me for a minute while you gather. All right. We're just letting the audience build up a little bit. I'll
give you a couple updates.
We're going to share it to the Denny Laine Appreciation Society. We'll do that in a sec, Steen.
I'll just give it to you now. There's the governor's stuff.
All right. Welcome to the live stream. Ask Caswell. We're going to get started in just a moment. We have a very special musical guest coming up a little bit later, but right now I'm just sharing this on some different pages here on social media. If you're tuning in, start a watch party right on your page, or share it to your page so other people can see it. And then, of course, we'll take any questions you have. I think we've shared it everywhere now.
I shared it everywhere.
All right, hang on. I'm going to be right with you, folks. Just turn down your volume. All right, yeah, we're building a.
You want to show everybody?
Yeah, I'm going to show them that. Yeah. Christine has made the quarantini tonight since it's Saturday night.
It's Sunday night.
Share. Yeah, sorry. Let's do that. We're up to 60 people.
So yeah, so we're hold on, we are okay. So we are sharing it to a different page for Denny right now, and
just share it to his personal page, Denny Laine.
Yep.
Can you do that, Ben?
Yep, I'm gonna handle that right now.
You do that. All right, great. So what we're doing right now is we're going to give you some updates about Westerly before we get into our special guests. I want to thank our special guests from the past few days that have come on. You know, we just started the show organically. By the way, Russ is watching. Amy, Vinny, Susan, Amy, Donna, Charles, Tim, Lisa, Chad. Welcome to all you guys watching. We've been building up quite an audience here every night on Facebook, and we find that after each show, within about 24 hours, 1,500 to 2,000 people watch these episodes every night. And it all started a week ago when we first learned about what was really going on with the COVID-19 thing. And we're sharing it to Denny's official page now. I also will tell you that the questions that are going to come in are about 20 seconds delayed from what we see here, because our producer, Ben, has figured out how we can get guests in here by Zoom. See, we're learning all this stuff now. It's great. We can all sit in the comfort of our home. I do want to thank the Lieutenant Governor for taking a time out the other day to be on the show. I want to thank singer John Batdorf for coming on last 2 nights ago, and for John Ford Coley coming on last night. I'm going to bring on my guests in a few minutes tonight. And then coming up this week, we have Tom Wopat from the Dukes of Hazzard, and we're working on a couple others. I think Jonathan Edwards is going to come on and sing Sunshine Go Away Today for us. But Senator Elaine Morgan had a post: online and forward ordering as well as curbside pickup is available, but please wait outside if there are more than 6 customers inside. Christine, can you find me that Elaine Morgan post I listed on your page here? The other thing that I heard is that Sandy's is going to be limiting it to 12 people in the store at one time. So you see that the limits are starting to come on the stores now. The thing that happened today, the governor in Rhode Island issued a new executive order effective at 5 p.m. tomorrow, directing all recreation and entertainment facilities to close their in-person operations. This is spas, hair salons, barbershops, and nail shops. The state is working beyond the assistance from the effective equipment. So that's some of the stuff. Tom Zalaski is watching us, by the way. So the other thing the governor said today is, she said, look, I'm driving around the state, and if I see people gather out, playing football, doing whatever they're doing, and they're in groups that are 10 or more, she said, I'm going to go to the next step, which is ordering people to stay in their house. and it's already been done in California and places like that. She said, we don't need to do that in Rhode Island, but we're going to do that in Rhode Island if we don't have some people just paying attention to the social distancing thing. Come on, I know we can do it. We don't need to have a problem here in Westerly. We've only had 2 cases in our town, and we just need to make sure that we just keep the social distancing up. It's important. But you notice that the governor is doing executive orders one at a time. She's doing things, and it's going to get more stringent if there's a problem and if people just don't obey that here around. Look, every state's different, but right now here on this, we're talking about Westerly, and we're talking about the general state of Rhode Island. So please just keep the social distancing stuff. Please just do what the governor asked for you to do today. It's really, really important. Tomorrow, we start the learning, the online learning. So all our kids are going to school tomorrow, and they're doing online learning. And Gina just said, with so many people online tomorrow, along with people working from home, do you think the internet's going to be able to keep up? That's a really good question. I know we've had some issues here a couple of times. Hey, Dawn, how are you? Mary's watching. Greg, Bob Lancia, Ken Richards. We've got quite a few people watching that are tuning in on a regular basis. So look, that's the local update. It's Sunday night. I definitely tomorrow night, my wife's going to come on because she's the chair of the school committee. And hi, Joan. Hi, Debbie. And talk a little bit more about the online learning. I know we have kids that are in our house, Maddie and Louie and Leah, our 3 kids that are going to be starting tomorrow, a 9-year-old, an 11-year-old, and a 13-year-old that are all going to online school in the morning. So we're going to see how this works out. But I think it's going to be pretty interesting and pretty cool, and certainly a time in their lives that they'll probably always look back and remember this sort of weird homeschooling thing. Hey, Justin's watching as well. So listen, we've talked a lot over the past week about all the do's and the don'ts and all the things going on and the shutdowns and the breakdowns and all this stuff. And by the way, Wilcox Park is open. People are debating it online. It's open. Don't congregate, but it's open. Hi, Mary. But besides all that, thanks, Ben. You just typed in who's excited. That's me. So I'm going to bring on my first guest. My only guest tonight. And let me tell you a little bit about this guy. I've been fortunate to know him actually now since 2007. So that's going on 13 years. I can't believe it. Or 2006, maybe longer. I don't know. I've probably known him for 15 years. I certainly knew of him since I was a little kid. So Denny Laine was the original lead singer of the Moody Blues. He had the big, huge hit with the Moody's called Go Now, #1 hit. And then he joined a series of other bands leading up to Paul McCartnney and Wings, or Wings as we knew it, and Denny, Venus and Mars, Wings Over America, London Town, Back to the Egg, the songs, you know them all, Let 'Em In, Silly Love Songs, Jet. I mean, all these songs Denny worked on. He's actually written a musical. He's done so many great things. He's played with so many people, and we're going to talk about that. And it's just exciting because Denny has played in Westerly so many times over the last decade and a half, and he knows our town really well. He's stayed here, and he loves Westerly. And so when I asked him to come on, and by the way, I'm going to put my headphones on, Ben, because I know you're going to yell at me if I don't. So hang on. Hang on there, Ben. All right. I got my headphones on now. There we go. So without further ado, let's bring on Denny Laine. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Denny Laine. Can you hear me, Ben?
I can hear you. Are you on Wi-Fi or not?
Do you want me to be?
Yeah.
All right. Hang on, folks. Hang on. I'm going to go on Wi-Fi.
And since I'm
hang on,
here
Ben.
alone for a second, hey everybody. All right, cool.
We're back. This is the fun thing about doing this show. We don't know what we're doing yet, but we're just having fun.
Yes. So it says that Denny is in a meeting. Obviously, he's not in a meeting with us right now. So hopefully, Denny, if you're watching, exit out of the Zoom app and come back in. Yeah. Cheers.
We're working on it.
It was pretty cool. I got to FaceTime with him a few minutes ago, which was insane and awesome.
Looks like he's
and
joining.
here he is. Cool. I'm gonna shut up now.
Can you
All
see
right.
me now?
I can hear you now.
I can see you.
Awesome. We have Denny Laine.
Can you see me?
Now I can see you. There you are. We got it to work, Denny. How are you?
Good. I'm very well, thanks. How are you, Kaz?
I'm doing all right. It's been a long time since we've talked. And, with all this crazy stuff going on in the world, I figured that, you probably weren't out on the road doing any gigs because of what's going on. So I figured we could chat and then tell us what's going on in your life.
Well, it's a funny thing because I was kind of off the road anyway because of, changing managements and agencies. We got a couple of months off anyway. So just the way it was, it worked out okay. Haven't had any cancellations. I know a lot of people are out of work and I feel bad for everyone, but it's not affected us too badly yet. So we're all right.
We got our first comment since you came on. Stephanie says, "Hey, Denny." And Kate Stroud says, "I love Denny Laine," with hearts, 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 and peace signs and rainbows. So you've already got some fans.
We can't blame her. Okay.
So what are you doing to pass the time? I mean, since everything seems to, first of all, where are we talking to you from?
Well, we're in Florida, so we're spending every day like in the pool. I hate to say it, but we are. And so it's nice weather and it's great. It's like everybody's on vacation. That's the strange thing about it. They're all out doing their gardens and whatever. So it's a kind of in a strange way, it's a blessing in disguise for some people, I suppose. But there you go.
Stephanie King says, "I love Denny more." And Chloe says, "This is awesome." You've got a big fan base, especially here in Westerly. You've played here so many times. Tell us, your thoughts and your memories from being here in Westerly many times.
Well, Misquamicut Beach, obviously, and you and setting it all up. I mean, you've always had you got a great band. I mean, I've had a good time up there every time I've come, and I'd like to come again, actually. So let's see if we can set it up. I've been doing a lot of solo stuff as well and trio stuff, and I got my own band now. They're calling it the Moody Wing Band. Can you believe? And it's been going down well, yeah.
So tell me about a couple of years ago, you guys in the Moody Blues made it into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You got to because there's not a lot of people in Westerly that get to talk to Rock and Roll Hall of Famers. How did you find out that you were going to be inducted? And then, how did that night go? I mean, you guys got on stage
Liz and I, it's my lady friend Liz, Liz. And we were sitting in the car when the phone goes and they said, "By the way, you've been inducted." And I thought I wasn't going to be inducted. I thought it was just going to be the other Moody's, I thought that was it. But obviously they had to have me there because I was the singer on Go Now. And Go Now was the thing that got us in there. It's the only #1 the Moody's ever had. Can you believe? So we eventually go along. I met Mike Pender, hadn't seen him for years. And he said, still in his broad Birmingham accent, he goes, "It's been a long time." So, so that was great. That was great. And we had a great night. Justin and John, who I didn't know that well. I mean, I know them, but I didn't know them that well because I only knew, Mike and Graham, of course. And Ray had passed away not long before. But anyway, his wife was there, Lee. And so we had a great night and we had all pictures taken. And they were very nice to me. They're very I just went on and said, "Well, I wasn't in the band that long, so I won't have a long speech. Here we go." I just sort of said I was a big fan and everything. So there you go, which I am, I think they went on and did some great stuff. I didn't have to feel guilty because I left, so it was a really good night and everybody was, it was a good get together, like a school reunion almost for me. Yeah.
I wanted you to also share some memories of Ginger Baker. And your involvement with him. So you were part of a band, Ginger Baker's Air Force.
Yeah. Well, the weird part about it was that I was supposed to be going. Eric invited me to go to this thing in February, but I couldn't make it. I was stuck over here.
Now, Denny, not to interrupt you, but you say Eric. Would that be Eric Clapton?
Yeah, it would be EC, yes. and so I known Eric for years, and so anyway, I couldn't make it. But anyway, the Ginger Bake was like a brother in a way to me, because just before Wings, I joined up with him, and I'd known Ginger and Jack from the early days, from the real early Moody's days, because the first tour we ever did, was for Robert Stigwood, who was the manager of Eric and the Bee Gees, yeah. And he had this tour, and it was the Chuck Berry tour. So, of course, we were big Chuck Berry fans, but who do you think was opening the show was Ginger Baker and Jack Bruce in a band they were in called the Graham Bond Organization. So that's how long I've known them too. And so, eventually, I was down at Steve Winwood's house with a friend of mine, and they were starting Blind Faith. So I jammed along a little bit with Eric and Ginger. And then when they sort of didn't go much further with Blind Faith, Ginger got in touch with me and says, "Do you want to put a band together?" So that was how that came about. Simple as that, And Ginger got a little bit sick after a while. It wasn't very healthy at the time, so it went off the road for a while. And it was shortly after that I got together with Paul, But again, I was doing my own thing for a while. I just was off the road, and I had a string band. I had a little bit of a hit with a song called Say Don't Mind. And then I get the call from Paul. So I just was, I was happy to do something different. And that's what I did.
Well, I would say it was a big hit with Colin Blunstone did the version of that song. And it was a big one. So, the phone call from McCartney, it just one day you get a phone call and he says, "Hey, I remember you from the Moody's. Let's form a band."
That's right. Sort of, yeah.
That's it.
Well,
okay.
Yeah, well, when I've had a few drinks, I tell a few stories like this, but, I don't know if I've ever told you, but we knew the Beatles in the Moody Blues. We were friends of theirs because we toured with them. Actually, they got us in with Brian Epstein, because our management, although they'd got us up to where we were, but they weren't sort of paying us or anything. So we left them. And Paul, I think, helped to get us. Paul and John talked to Brian Epstein, and then we ended up being managed by him. So then we did the Moody's did the Beatles tour. So all those years we were still friends. So I think he just wanted somebody he knew. I think he wanted to work with somebody he knew, and it wasn't going to be somebody who was going to be in awe of him, because it was a big thing for him to do that. And I was ready to do something different anyway. So it all worked out.
What's your favorite album that you did with Wings?
Well, there's, it's hard to have favorites, but I go out and I do the Band on the Run album now, because it's not like a tribute band type of thing, but I do the album with my own band. And it's because I was the only other member, a musician anyway, with Paul and Linda that, did that album. So I suppose that's my baby in a way. But all the albums I liked all the albums. They're all different, But that was kind of the one I suppose I called my favorite.
You get to work every now and again with Steve Holley, Lawrence Juber, or some of the other guys from the band. What's it like when you get back with them?
Yeah, it's usually pretty good. I haven't done it that much, but we always have a good time. It turns out that we've got this thing between us. I knew Steve well before. He met Paul and Linda before he joined Wings, and he was like a neighbor. And then I knew Lawrence quite well. So the point being, I could just get up with them in any situation and play with them, because we just kind of all know each other very well, musically as well. So it always goes down well. And we've always got a few stories as well. So, there you go. So, yeah, I've done it a few times. And like I say, they're like friends really to me. Still, I still see them quite a lot.
Yeah, well, we've been, by the way, if you're just sort of tuning in, I see a ton of people coming online, and a couple of people have questions for you, Denny, which is great. Takes our mind off of COVID-19. We're talking to Denny Laine from the Moody Blues, from Wings, and he's played at Misquamicut. I got to say, I was trying to count. I think you played here 7 times, which is pretty good. But one person had a question for you. One person said, your career sounds really interesting. I would say that's an understatement. The person wants to know about the song Why No Junko, and was that about Jack Bruce?
Well, I wouldn't know because I didn't write it. You know,
Good answer.
The funny part is, of course, Colin Allen, the drummer from Stone the Crows, which is where Jimmy McCullough came from. He was in Thunderclap Newman originally, but he was with Stone the Crows. And then the drummer from that band, Colin Allen, was on my very first solo album, can you believe, which is called Our Lane. And Colin wrote that song with Jimmy. I think he probably wrote the words and Jimmy wrote the music. It was just a kind of a blues thing, but that's about as far as I know about that song.
What are some of the songs that when we see you in concert and when you come and play for us in the near future, when you go out on the road, what do you sing nowadays in concert? What are the tunes you pick to sing? I know you do the Band on the Run album sometimes.
Yeah,
you're doing your thing.
Look, I go. The rain was falling and the ground turned to mud. I was watching all people running from the flood. So I started to pray. No, I ain't no praying man for the Lord. But help me, knowing He understands. To live your children to a good life, forgive each other and the folk and not shine a light in the morning and another night if you think you better make it right, you know, all that sort of stuck inside these four walls. I do a bit of everything, you know. It's usually stuff that I've kind of co-written. All of Kintyre, oh, mist rolling in from the sea. My desire is always to be Kintyre. I do all that stuff, and you know, plus some stuff that's a bit more obscure, but you know, some Moody stuff. You know, we've already said, go now, go now, go now. You know, do all that. So it's a pretty varied show, and I got a great band, like I say. So you know, I have a good time. Yeah.
People want to know. Someone just screamed out, "Time to hide."
Yeah. Well,
that...
yeah. If I have to run, I'm not running out on you. Baby, won't you let me have a little time to hide?
So what this is kind of like then for the people watching, by the way, the ratings are going way up now. Great watching this. Love you, Denny Laine. Can't wait for you to come back to Misquamicut Beach. It's kind of you're like a personal jukebox tonight for these people watching. You just played all these hits. You just gave us Go Now. Now tell me a little bit about you. You breezed over it, but you sang it once with us at our Guy Fawkes night. Tell me about Mull of Kintyre. Huge hit. Outsold everything at the time.
Well, like I said, I co-wrote that in the sense that Paul had the chorus. I was up in Scotland with, because every summer we'd go up there just to kind of rehearse and write and stuff like that on his farm. And I went over for breakfast one morning and he just had that chorus. So the next day we got together, we got into the hills and we kind of just sat there and looked around and just wrote the lyrics, looking around, you know, into the valley and stuff. And that was it. And then, of course, we got the Campbelltown Pipe Band came into it, and they were fantastic. And it all sort of got arranged there, and then it was recorded outside, all the pipes, all the natural echoes, and it was like the biggest thing we ever did. I couldn't believe it. Paul didn't actually want to do it eventually, because he thought the Scots wouldn't like him, you know, for doing the Scottish song, but he pulled it off. Even Billy Connolly liked it, you know. So there you go. It's true.
So tell me about the musical you did.
Well, that was a long, long time ago that a friend of mine, Chris Hill, had been up in the Arctic writing a book for kids called Journey Around the Arctic Circle. And, you know, I didn't know too much about the situation. I'm still not too sure about the old, global warming thing and everything. But he was a big thing. That was his big thing. And he was up there sort of writing this book and taking pictures, and he got me involved. So I studied a lot about it. So I ended up writing taking a lot of his notes and writing all the songs and the storyline around his notes. I had a song. Have you ever seen the colors of a northern sky? Or the evergreens that climb a snowy mountainside of the dawn with its infinite hues and the shades of Arctic blues? And that was like the opening song to it. But it was like 16 songs. I performed it actually. A friend of mine just got in touch with me today, Armin Petrie. He's a producer. He does 10,000 Maniacs, people like that. And we did a little performance of it up in SUNY, which is the, Fredonia University, and with all his people at the university. So, I mean, we had a good night doing that. And, it worked. So I've only performed it actually twice, once with kids and once with these people, these students. But it goes down really well. I haven't actually done anything more with it. I'm actually talking about doing it again with someone right now. But yeah, it's just an environmental piece,
With something like that, it's one thing for you to go on stage and sing songs that you've been playing for many years. Was it a bit nerve-wracking to do 16, 17 new songs that hadn't been done live?
Well, not really. I mean, it
No?
wasn't because I mean, the people involved, it's just a great commune thing. Everybody puts their bit in, and it's such a great feeling when everybody does that, and especially with Armand's orchestra people. They did a great job, and it makes my life easy when I'm involved with those kind of people. So it's a one-off thing, and it's exciting. I just like doing things that are a little bit risky anyway. And, at the end of the night, everybody loved it. So it's not really scary, but obviously, you want it to go well because, it's not something like we've rehearsed, to the nth degree, you see what I mean?
Right.
But it still worked. And that's really what's great about it. But again, it's an environmental thing. It's a message. It's kind of partly fiction, partly mythical, partly real. It's a bit of everything. And it's a kind of a family story, really. But like I say, it's got a message. It's got a lot of messages in there, which you can take it or leave it, But it is about sort of saving the planet, so which I've always been a little bit, involved in, like everybody else, especially now, with what's going on in the world right now. Everybody has to pull together, and being in a band for all my life, it's kind of a little bit like that, where everybody works together, to make something happen. Right. And that's what's happening in the world right now. I think it's drawing people together, which is, in a way, a blessing in disguise. But it's a shame it has to be something like this that does it. But again, it's bringing people together. I mean, everybody's just going online and doing things and getting entertained from home like this. I mean, it's kind of bringing people into the same sort of frame of mind, if you like. And
well, it's amazing to have you here. And for those of you just tuning in, we're talking to Denny Laine from the Moody Blues and Wings and many other things. Listen, while you've been talking, people have been asking all kinds of questions about, but there was one person that was part of the backup band for when you played at the Guy Fawkes Bonfire Night. And she said her favorite song of yours is Ghost of the Scrimshaw Carver.
Oh God. Would that be Belle?
No, it was not. She was in like the Guy Fawkes ensemble. Her name is Heidi,
okay.
and she was playing something when you did the Ghost. Maybe you could give us a verse of that one. Put you on the spot.
Lovers have awoken me, releasing my spirit from the bottom of the sea, where me bones have laid since 1883. I'm the ghost of the Scrimshaw Carver. As a cabin boy aboard the ocean spray, out of Liverpool we sailed to Baffin Bay, across the Greenland Sea for the hot mighty whale. Oh, steady there, the beauty blows, bring her around starboard, steady as she goes, and the old sea daddy slowly holding nose. I'm the ghost of the Scrimshaw Carver. And away we go.
And
3
someone
verses
asked
later.
and someone asked if you'd do just a tiny snippet of Again and Again and Again.
Oh. You don't want to be the little woman. You don't want to be the little woman I love. I love. You don't want to stay in my school. You don't want to be the one at school. But you don't want to be the little woman I love. Again and again and again and again. Again and again and again. That's about it, really.
You're the best, Denny. Thank you very much. Hey, one other question for you. What's the question you get sick and tired of answering? There's got to be one.
Oh, God. Do you know who this is? No, I mean, no, it's the thing is, it's like, I'll be out with friends and like they'll have a few drinks and I'll go up to people and say, do you know who that is over there? And then suddenly I'm talking to everybody in the room, you know, but I don't mind it. It's just like, do you know who this is? But it's just, no, I mean, I suppose the question that's the hardest to answer is like, how did you make it in the music business? I mean, well, what can you say? I mean, I'm not going to say it was hard work, but it's work, but it's not hard work. It's just something you enjoy. But you got to put the hours in. You really just got to put the hours in, and you can't do anything else. You can't have a side job. It's got to be. It's a 24-hour job. You know, you got to be up for it. I mean, there's a lot of talented people out there, amazing talent out, especially now with all the stuff that's accessible, you know, on YouTube and whatever. People are getting even better musicians than they ever were. But they got to put the hours in. They got to work. You know, you got to play live. You got to record. You got to know all the sides of the business that need to be known. You really do. It's because there's so much competition. It always was competition. But you got to. And also you got to believe in yourself. You got to do your own thing based on what your limitations are. You see what I mean? I mean, you just do your own thing, and then you'll be appreciated. You're trying to be like everybody else too much, you know. So you got to stick your neck out really and take chances, and then that's all there is to it. But that's the hardest question to answer. You. What's it like? How did you make it? I mean, you know, come on. I mean, you can't really answer it. It's just a case of like any other business, you got to put the hours in. That's all.
Let me ask you one last question, because I know you've taken a long time to talk to us tonight. You've been talking to us for a long time, even though it feels like it just went by so quick. I'd love to hear from you kind of the moment where you thought, oh my God, we are like at the top of the top. And then I'd also like to know during your career, a moment when you felt like, Jesus, can I sink any lower? I'd love to hear kind of where in your life, where were you when you thought you had made it so big?
Well, I was on the Chuck Berry tour because that's when Go Now went to the top of the charts, you know. And of course, we worked for it. We're a blues band in Birmingham for a couple of years. We got discovered by some people from London. We went to London. We had to get to know everyone down there. We became part of the blues scene down there. Met a lot of people like, you know, Rod Stewart, Eric Clapton, as I say, the Stones. And we worked with a lot of those people too, on and off. We'd do like doubles with the Yardbirds, or we toured with the Stones a little bit. So, you know, it was kind of the height of everything we were doing was in those days. But again, you know, when I left in between bands, I want to call it, that's when that's when things get tight. And especially after the Moody's, because nobody paid us, you know. I mean, we didn't make any money out of that. No, even the Beatles will tell you stories, horror stories about, you know, it was like the Wild West in them days, and nobody knew what they were doing, but there was a lot of money going missing. So that was a rough time, and having to start again. But you don't sort of, you don't get down about it. You just think it's a challenge to get back up there, you know, because you know you can do it. You've done it before. But those are the worst parts. When you're going through, there's a lot of personal things have happened in my life as well, which have been upsetting, and you know, and it's like trying to drag yourself back up into the music business. And not only that, you've got to work, you've got to go out there and do, you know, new stuff. I mean, I couldn't go out after the Moody's and do all the Moody's stuff. You know what I mean? You have to. It's the same with Wings. I mean, I do a bit of it, but you've still got to move forward and write songs, and then you're writing songs, you know, in order to like move forward, and you've got to record, and yeah, there's a lot of work. But the hardest part is there's a lot of people out there who are not, well, shall we say, you know, not as good as they pretend to be. You know what I'm saying? And you get involved with a lot of that, and people do tend to kind of ride on your back a little bit, and it's hard to rise above that. And you got to find the right kind of people to work with. That's kind of the hardest bit, really. But other than that, you know, you do. And I've always had faith, and it's gonna come around again, and it always does. So I mean, I don't panic. You know, a lot of people do. A lot of people just go down. You know, I mean, I never really got into the drugs or the drinking too much. A little bit, but you know. But again, never to the depression stage. A lot of people, and that's I learned from other people who've done, you know, things like that. And then you see, I mean, a lot of my friends didn't make it. You know, as you know, they all kind of, and I'm talking like Jimi Hendrix, Keith Moon, and people like that. You know, that really sort of suffered badly from the dark side of the music business, if you like. But I was lucky in that sense. I always had a good family. You know, my mum and dad were very, very supportive. I came from a great family. My sisters and brother were all very into music and all encouraging. So, I mean, I think that with that, it's helped me through all of my down times, you know. So
I want to say that, you know, maybe it's hard to understand, and maybe it's not for you because you've been doing this, you know, 50 something years on and you're still doing it. But there's got to be this weird sense, like when you were coming out with these songs, it was the new thing. And now it's turned into this thing called nostalgia also, which sort of compounds it. So you take somebody that loved, you know, say Band on the Run, or that, you know, I can think back, and I was born the year Band on the Run came out, but I still feel some nostalgia for it. But when I listen to you on Wings Over America, you know, Grand Old Painter died last night. It just it just evokes like an emotion. And I know when I've talked, I've been on the road with you many times. I watch the people come up to you. What's it like when they say, "Wow, you know, 1976, I was 15 years old, and your poster was on my wall"? That's got to mean something.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the great thing about live music. You know, you do get to get that feedback, and people are always thanking you for the music. I mean, again, you know, I'm also doing, you know, the Grand Old Painter died last night, his paintings on the wall. Before he went, he bade us well, said goodnight to us all. Drink to me, drink to my head. You know I can't drink anymore. And that's a Paul song, but I love it. And it's about, you know, it's about just Dustin Hoffman actually said to Paul, "Can you write a song about anything?" And he says, "Yeah, I think so." And that was when Picasso had died, and Paul had a Picasso painting. So anyway, he sat and wrote that song. And these are the things that, you know, I love those stories. And so I'm around great writers, great people, you know, doing a lot of stuff, painters, artists, everything, you know, some great people. So I'm always inspired by people who are not only just, you know, talented, but like got good hearts, you know what I mean? They just have a very sort of good people to be around. So I'm lucky like that. And I love to sort of sing them songs and share them with people, not just my own songs, is what I'm saying. And because again, it all has something to do with their life at some point, like you say, you know, and therefore when you get that feedback, it's like, wow, it's like the song's new again, you know. The people that come up to me and say, "Go now, man, that was the one," I love it because, you know, again, every time I sing it, I enjoy it. It's not like nothing's dated. You see what I mean?
I do.
I mean, yeah. So it's a great life from that point of view.
Well,
but it's
Denny,
all about the feedback. It's all about the feedback.
I want to thank you for taking the time to talk to us and to talk to Westerly tonight. I know people from all over are watching as well, because you brought an audience in too that are following you on your page. But I appreciate what you're doing. We're going to definitely make sure you come play Misquamicut. Maybe we can get you for Fall Fest. And because we love having you in town, and we have a lobster waiting for you.
Oh, cool, man. The lobster.
Christine said Christine always says, well, I said, I'm talking to Denny today. She's like, well, who cares? He was on my porch eating a lobster.
Yeah, that was great.
So let me ask you, we're gonna have you maybe play us out. And of course, the request came like 16 times here, and you played us a 10-second version, but will you give us the 30-second version of Go Now to play us out?
All right, thanks, guys. See you again. Right, we've already said goodbye. Since you gotta go, oh, you better go now. Go now, go now, go now. Before you see me cry. I don't want you to tell me what you intend to do now. Yeah. How many times do I have to tell you, darling, I'm still in love with you now. Whoa. We've already said, see you, folks. So long. I don't want to see you go. You better go now. Yo.
Thank you, Denny. We'll see you next time. All right. So Ben's going to disconnect you, and I'm going to stay with the people for a couple more minutes. So Ben, you come on and do your thing. And thank you, Denny.
All right. Thank you very much, Denny. That was amazing.
All right. Cheers, Ben. Thanks, Kaz.
Thanks, Denny. Yeah, Ben.
Caswell, that was insane.
Insane. It was insane.
That was ridiculous.
I mean, we want to just bring some good entertainment to the town of Westerly, and to just sitting here and just thinking to myself that guy just came on and sang a #1 hit. Like, how many people have #1 hits? And he just sang "Go Now," which was #1 like 55 years ago. I'd tell you a couple of things, Ben, that were and I know there was so many people that were watching, and I just couldn't keep track of all the people that were sending hearts, and Barb and Denise and Donna and Kirk and Greg and Kate and all these people watching. You're welcome, Kate. I had a couple moments of like sort of pinch myself moments when I was privileged to drive Denny different places over the years. We went to New Hampshire once, and we went down to New York, and we did some different stuff. So we're driving, and it was like really like early in the morning, and we're on the road to New Hampshire driving up the highway, and I had satellite radio on, the 70s on 7, and Let 'Em In came on from the Wings at the Speed of Sound album. And so, Paul's singing, "Someone's knocking at the door." And so I found myself singing along. And then when Denny's parts came on, he sang his parts. And I'm like, okay, that's a pinch me moment. That's really cool that I'm singing Let 'Em In a car with Denny Laine. And then the other time was when my band got to back him at our Guy Fawkes bonfire night. And we're singing Band on the Run, and I'm playing piano. And I'm standing next to Denny, and we're singing "Stuck Inside These Four Walls." And then I'm singing Paul's part, "Never seeing no one nice again." And Denny's singing his part, "Nice again." And it was just, I'm sitting there going, Jesus, like, that's just so cool. So I've had those moments with him, and I was just so happy because I talk to him as often as I can, just to say hi, check in. And when he said he would come on with us tonight, I'm like, all right, let's just bring him on. And the fact that he had his guitar and he just played all of those Wing songs. Okay. Like, yeah, man.
that was so much cooler and more relaxed than I thought. And then, like, just because, I've never met him before, and I FaceTimed with him like 2 minutes before we went on, trying to figure out the app. And he just could not have been nicer, could not have been cooler. You don't see that every day. And it was really cool. We had people watching from Brazil and Argentina and Canada and St. Louis, that was.
And I love it when these guys say, yeah, so I was talking to Eric, and then Paul called me, and I'm saying, you mean Eric Clapton and Paul McCartney? Oh, John, you mean John Lennon? You know, it's just
Yeah.
like, it's hard to fathom that someone like Denny just spent his whole life in the company of those people, and he's still here and he perseveres and he writes new stuff. And I keep saying I want to make the documentary about his life because he needs one written. There's been stuff about the Moody's, stuff about Wings, but his story is so cool. Like, you know, it's just an amazing influence he's had on so many people, and it's really cool. So anyway, that
Absolutely.
was my favorite one so far. We've got
Definitely.
more people coming up this week.
You want
We
to
get-
you want to answer some questions about Westerly and get out of here?
yeah. What do you say after that? Well, I just wanted to bring some entertainment tonight to Westerly. I think we did that. Nicky used to ride his horses. Yeah, we talked about Wino Junkie. That's pretty good. He played everyone's songs. We were doing Again and Again, all that stuff. So this week coming up, we are going to bring on our buddy Tom Wopat from the Dukes of Hazzard. He was Luke Duke on the Dukes of Hazzard. He's been to Misquamicut. He's going to talk to us. And then I think we're going to have Jonathan Edwards on hopefully this week, and he'll sing Shanty and Sunshine Go Away Today. So we're going to keep bringing you some entertainment this week here and try to get you through the COVID-19 crackdown, lockdown. And that's where we're at. So with that said, I think I'm going to sign off and say good night, Ben. Good night, Mom.
All right. Good night, Kaz.
See ya.